Hi there everyone and welcome back to another walkthrough series. In this video we're going to discuss about reading passage 2, which is about true cost of food. So once again, we know that reading passage 2 and 3 can be either argumentative or opinion based. It is truly not harmful if we skim through the questions or the statements that they are requiring for us to solve. So we know these kinds of questions, which ask which paragraph contains the following information, means matching features. They don't always follow the order because we have to be really careful about the details. Not really about the details, but we have to find we have to find a feature that is mentioned within the paragraph. Whereas in yes, no, no, given, they always follow the order. They pretty much always follow the order, which means if you find the answer for the question number 18, then the other three successive questions, or maybe question statements, could be found right after the previous question, right? So followed by a summary completion. As you can see, summary completion here doesn't really require for us to find a suitable synonym from the passage, but here we have to choose. We have to find the word from the paragraph. However, the catch is that it's really necessary for us to know which exactly word we have to put. It could be either a verb or it could be either a noun. So we have to be really careful about that. So we're going to go through first of all with the matching features. So let's start with the paragraph A. For more than I'm just gonna actually choose a highlight. So I'm just gonna take a highlight for that. So I think the green color would be fine. So all right, so let me remove that. For more than 40 years, the cost of food has been rising. So the cost of food has been rising. It has now reached a point where a growing number of people believe that it is far too high, and that bringing it down will be one of the great challenges of the 21st century. That cost, however, this is contradicting, is not an immediate cash, right? In the West, at least, most food is now far cheaper to buy in relative terms than it was in 1960. So it's the word in relative term means that it was somehow cheaper than it was in 1980. So relative term means similar to this date. The cost is in the collateral damage of the very methods of food production that have made the food cheaper. All right, in the pollution of water, the enervation of soil, the destruction of wildlife, the harm of animal welfare, and the threat to human health caused by modern industrial agriculture. All right, so pretty much we know that it is paragraph A is basically talking about the rise of the rise of food in terms of cost, and it is so they are also trying to find methods that could make food cheaper. So you can see that methods of food production that have made the food cheaper. It's the pollution of water and enervation of soil. So pretty much all these features they are a part of why the food has become cheaper, right? So pollution of water, innovation of soil, destruction of wildlife, and harm to animal welfare, and threat to human health caused by modern industrial agriculture, and blah blah blah. So pretty much we know that it costs involved in purifying domestic water. We know the purifying means cleaning, so therefore there is nothing about costs. The stages in the development farming industry know the term used to describe hidden costs. Once again, it's not talking about it's not even nearly talking about the costs and one effect of chemicals on water sources. So we're going to proceed reading. First mechanization, then mass. So we can see it. I just want to choose a different highlighting color. Then mass use of chemicals, fertilizers and pesticides, then monocultures, then once again, battery rearing of livestock, and now genetic engineering. We can pretty much genetic engineering. We can pretty much make an inference from here, but let's just not rush yet. The onward march of intensive farming has seemed unstoppable in the last half century as the yields of produce have soared. Yields of produce have soared, increased, right? But the damage it has caused has been colossal. In Britain, for example, many of our best loved farmland birds, such as skylark, the gray partridge, the lapwing, and the corn bunting, have vanished from huge stretches of countryside. It is literally, it decreased because the countryside extended in terms of size. So it is saying that many of our best loved farmlands, not all, but many of them. This is a direct result of the way we have produced our food in the last 4 decades. Thousands of miles of hedgerows, thousands of ponds have disappeared from the landscape. The fecal filth of salmon farming has driven wild salmon from many of the sea lochs and rivers of Scotland. Natural soil fertility is dropping in many areas because continuous industrial fertilizer and pesticide use because of that. And while the growth of algae is increasing in lakes because of the fertilizer runoff, right? So algae is also increasing because the fertilizers stopped working. Now from the B, we can let's just make an inference. Another one. Inference is just to make conclusions according to the paragraph, according to the information given. So we can see that then first it was mechanization. Second, it was mass use of chemical fertilizers and pesticides. Then it was monoculture, which is 3, followed by a rearing livestock, which is 4, and now genetic engineering, concluding with number 5. So basically, it's giving about the stages that is influencing on developing the intensive farming, right? So number 15 obviously is going to be B. Therefore, I'm going to choose that, and I'm going to say number 15 is going to be B. B because once again it uses first, then, and now. Why am I exactly referring to these kinds of words? Because they are pretty much, simply saying they are just merely signals. So it means just showing you the stages. First this, first that. I mean, first this, and then that, and this, thirdly this, and then and blah blah blah. It just shows the process of something happening, right? But in our case, obviously, it's saying the stages of the development. So we're just going to take that and we're going to remove that actually. Actually, I'm going to remove the highlight actually, I think, and I'm just going to say that it's pretty much taken off. So now we're going to pay attention to C, I guess. Put it all together and it looks like a battlefield. So put it all together, it looks like a battlefield. Once again, we're going to choose a different color for that because I love choosing colors somehow. So let's choose the somewhat of a purple. But consumers rarely make the connection at the dinner table. That is mainly that means they rarely make the connection at the dinner table. That is mainly because the costs of all these damage are what economists refer to as externalities. We can once again make inferences. You can see that the term used to describe hidden costs. The term used to describe hidden costs means the word that describes the costs which are not known. So because the connections are rarely met in the dinner table, if we read it further, they are outside the main transaction, which is, for example, producing and selling field of wheat and are in the what is that field of wheat and are born. That means born directly by neither producers nor consumers. So the word born means carried by. To many, costs may not even appear to be financial at all, but merely simply or aesthetic, a terrible shame, but nothing to do with money. And anyway, they, as consumers of food, certainly aren't paying for it, are they? So once again, So the cost of all these damage are what economists refer to as externalities, and this is just a name. Economists just gave a name by they give a name, and it's called externalities. So therefore, we know that the term, the word that talks about the costs, is obviously this is I mean, once again, obviously talking or is being stated in the paragraph C. So we're going to choose 16 as C, and now we're going to once again remove it over here, right? So one effect of chemicals and water reuse at cost involved in purifying domestic water. We're still left with number 2 of the options. But the cost to society can actually be quantified, and when added up, can amount to staggering sums. So, but the cost to society can actually be quantified. That means they are performing some sort of mathematics over here. So, okay, the color would be suitable. When added up, can amount to staggering sums. A remarkable exercise in doing this. So remarkable exercise means that to put it to a practice. In doing this has been carried out by one of the world's leading thinkers on the future of agriculture, by Professor Jules Pretty, or Pretty, I don't know that, director of the Center of Environment and Society at the University of Essex. Professor Pretty and his colleagues calculated the externalities of British agriculture for one particular year. They added up the cost of repairing the damage it caused and came up with a total figure of somewhat of a 2,343 million pounds. This is equivalent to 208 pounds of every hectare of arable land and permitted pasture. Almost as much again as the total government and Europe spent on British farming in that year. And according to Professor Pretty, it was conservative estimate. It was just a conservative estimate. It's not even nearly. So they're just saying that this is just an estimation. It's not really the number. So we know that. So basically, you might argue that a cost involved in purifying domestic water. However, it is indeed talking about the cost, but it's not really mentioning anything near about purifying and making water cleaner, right? So we're going to read more. The cost included, there we go, we have the first part. The cost included, I'm going to choose, let's just stay with that color. 120 million pounds for removal of pesticides. So let me actually just highlight the numbers instead. 120 million for removal of pesticides. Maybe I think that actually choosing the sentence would be much more suitable, because when we skim through while we are solving the summer completion, it will be easier for us to navigate through the answers or navigate through the text. 60 million for removal of nitrates, 55 million. So once again, I highlighted removal of nitrates, 55 million for removal of phosphates and soil, 23 million for the removal of bug cryptosporidium, if I pronounce that correctly, from drinking water by companies, 125 million for damage to wildlife habitats, hedgerows and dry stone walls, 1,113 million pounds from emissions of gases likely to contribute to climate change, 106 million from soil erosion and organic carbon losses, 169 million. So once again, 169 million from food poisoning, and 607 million from cattle diseases. So basically, the paragraph actually, we can see that here is the taste of the financial costs. Somewhere, I somehow accidentally encountered the question number 21 here. One of the costs calculated by Professor Pretty was illness caused by food. So illness caused by food can literally be referred to a cost is 169. So I'm gonna actually choose a different color for that. let's say a pink color would be suitable for us. And so I'm going to remove this. 169 million pounds from food poisoning. So basically, we can infer from that that the answer for question 21 is going to be yes, right? So we're going to remove that. Once again, we're going to, whoops, I think I'm going to remove this one. So we're going to remove this so that we won't really have to concentrate. And cost involved in purified domestic water? Indeed, because if you pay attention to the removal of bug cryptosporidium from drinking water by water companies, and still you can infer from this, when you can make conclusions from this, that removal of the bug, you don't really have to know the meaning of the bug, or in either way you don't really have to know the meaning of cryptosporidium from drinking water. So these two words actually, you don't really have to know the meaning. You just can make an inference from two simple words: removal of something from drinking water by water companies. So 23 million pounds was spent in order to purify drinking water. So it's stated in the paragraph E. So we're going to take that and we're going to remove question number 14, and we're going to give 14 as paragraph E, right? So we're going to make it as E. So one effect of chemicals on water sources. However, we remember on water sources, it was somewhere mentioned in paragraph B, right? One effect of chemicals on water sources. On water sources, because it's saying that continuous industrial fertilizer and pesticide use, while the growth of algae is increasing in lakes because of the fertilizer runoff. That's number one. And also, thousands of mild hedgerows, thousands of ponds have disappeared from the landscape. The feast of filth of salmon farming has driven wild. It is saying that because of mechanization, mass use of chemical fertilizers and pesticides, monocultures, battery rearing of livestock, genetic engineering, and onward march of intensive farming has seemed unstoppable in the last half century. And because of that, yields of produce have soared, and the damage it caused has been colossal. So it damaged not only Britain's best loved farmland birds, but also it destroyed salmon farm. I mean, it also destroyed something that is related to salmon. We know salmon is a type of a fish. Sea lochs. We can see that it's a sea lochs, rivers of Scotland. So the natural soil fertility is dropping in many areas because they're using industrial fertilizer and pesticides, and therefore the algae is also increasing in lakes because of the fertilizers just literally rain off. So we know that according to that, we can also remove question number 17 and choose 17 as option B. Now we're going to go. We're just going to go on. So I think we've answered all the questions, right? So we were left with several species of wildlife in the British countryside are declining. So once again, I think that, but not all really think, but I'm 100% sure that this answer is going to be yes, because we read that in Britain, for example, many of our best loved farmland birds, such as skylark, grey partridge, and blah blah blah, have vanished from huge stretches of countryside. The word have vanished, I mean, sorry for that, not vanished, but vanished. Have vanished means it is a synonym for the word declining, because declining is it's in the process of vanishing. However, we have a determiner here, meaning many. It's just an uncountable one, right? It can be an uncountable noun, or it can be whatever it is. So because of the determiner, many of the farmland birds, and they're giving examples: skylark, grey partridge, lapwing, and corn bunting. They just vanish because of the countryside. And we know that the stretches of countryside means if you want to expand the area of a land, or just not area but a land, or either of them, we have to get rid of the trees in order to be able to build a specific building for the population of that area to live. So therefore, logically speaking, we can just literally remove that and just we can remove the question number 18 because we already answered for that. And so declining means on the way of declining, not all of them are vanished, but it is still declining, right? So the answer is yes. The taste of food has deteriorated in recent years. However, the taste of food has deteriorated in recent years. I guess that we know that the cost of food is informed here. Most food is now far cheaper. We can make a conclusion from here. Let me actually choose a different color for that. I think I'm gonna choose darker. Most food is now far cheaper, but it's not really talking about the taste. So far, we haven't read anything nearly about the taste. Let's just skim through. So can the true cost of food be brought down? Breaking away from industrial agriculture as the solution to hunger may be very hard for some countries, but in Britain, where the immediate need to be supplied food is less urgent, and the cost and the damage of intensive farming have been clearly seen, and it may be more feasible. No, not really. So, but if industrial agriculture is to be replaced, then what is a viable alternative? What is a successful different option? So I think the answer question, once again, not really that thinking, but I would say the answer is not given. So just say not NG, but not given. Let's just be clear. Now, the financial costs of environmental damage are widely recognized. Are they widely recognized, the financial costs? So so we know that we are paying for our supposedly cheaper food in 3 separate ways. It is somewhere, let's just say the second is, first of all, it's saying that so first once over the counter, secondly through our taxes, which provide enormous subsidies. Financial costs. Let me first of all remove this one. So not actually do that, but I'm going to. So we're just going to get rid of that. Financial costs of environmental something. So financial costs of environmental damage are widely recognized. So I think that, but is it a widely recognized? It's really hard to guess. It's not really. We don't really have to guess. Sorry for that. We're not going to really guess here, but you just have to find the answer. Let's just go through. I think the financial cost of environmental damage. We read about environmental what was that? Environmental damage somewhere in paragraph B, I guess, right? But I'm not sure if it was written in paragraph B. Let's just read that. Thousands of miles of hedgehog plants will disappear from the landscape. All right. So is it really? Not. I don't think so. So because where is it? Oh, there you go. Sorry for the long casual, guys, but I just had to read that really carefully. I just lost my focus for a second. We can see that in the paragraph C, the rise says, to many, the cost may not even appear to be financial at all, but merely aesthetic. A terrible shame, but nothing to do with money. The cost here, the cost here is the cost of environmental damage, as it's listed in the paragraph B, right? Because all this sentence, let me just highlight that literally, not highlight but underline them. And in paragraph C, everything in paragraph C, it is further emphasizing about the environmental damage, which is particularly talking about how it affects water. Algae is increasing because the fertilizer runoffs. It affects the sea lochs in the rivers and rivers of Scotland and stuff like that. So it's nothing. So the financial costs are widely recognized. It's not widely recognized. They don't really care about the finance. So that means the answer for that is going to be no. Now what we have to do is we just have to pay attention to the. Now if we skim through the necessary parts, for the keywords, for example. Professor Pretty, I'm just gonna choose once again. I think I'm gonna choose a blue color. I think would be suitable. Professor Pretty concludes that our something are higher than most people realize because we make 3 different types of payment. All right, there you go. Meaning so let me choose that once again. If I click that button, we can make 3 types of payment. There we go. 3 types of payment was mentioned, if we remember that. There you go. Our food bills are actually threefold, right? So the word threefold here, the word threefold, our food bills are so concludes that. So conclusion from all of it, but memory draws a simple but memorable conclusion from all this. Our food bills are actually threefold. So the answer for that is going to be number 22 is going to be food bills. Was it food bills? Food bills. Okay. We are paying for our supposedly cheaper than food in 3 separate ways. In 3 separate ways, there we go. We can see that in 3 separate ways, meaning that is a synonym for in 3 different types of payment. He feels it is realistic to suggest that Britain should reduce its reliance on something, although most farmers would be unable to adapt to something else. So can the true cost of food be drawn down, breaking away from the industrial agriculture? As the solution to hunger may be very hard for some countries, but in Britain, where the immediate need to supply food is less urgent, the costs and the damage of intensive farming have been clearly seen, and it may be more feasible. The word feasible means likely. So he feels that it's realistic. We can pretty much just say that it correlates somehow. Realistic, likely, realistic. He feels that it is realistic to he feels that it is likely good to suggest that Britain should reduce its reliance on and it can be intensive farming, literally. Let's just say intensive farming. All right, we just saw that answer as well. Although most farmers would be unable to adapt to as something, Professor Pretty wants the government to initiate change by establishing what he refers to as something else. So I guess we're going to read further. The government needs to create sustainable, competitive, and diverse farming and food sectors, which will contribute to a thriving, sustainable rural economy and advance environmental, economic, health, and animal welfare goals. But if industrial agriculture is to be replaced, what is a viable alternative? Viable alternative means an option that will be successful. Professor Pretty feels that organic farming would be too big of a jump in thinking and practice for many farmers. So it's this too big a jump means that reduce reliance on something. So although most farmers would be unable to adapt to, all right, so what was that? Organic farming, right? So I think we have 2 options for that: either intensive farming or organic farming. 24 so we answered 24, did we? Reliance, but no, we didn't. Although most farmers would be unable to adapt. No, I'm sorry for that. It's not. Organic farming is not going to be that answer. I wrote it for the 24. I think it's. Oh, okay. I missed 24. Sorry for that. There's another mistake we did. So organic farming. 25. 25. Professor Pretty wants the government to initiate change by establishing what he refers to as a. All right. So he is recommending the immediate introduction of a greener food standard. So that is the answer: a greener food standard. Because we know it's no more than 3 words. Greener. So we're just gonna say greener food standard. Whereas in 26, we're not really sure. He feels this would help to change the attitudes of both something and something as well, which would push the markets towards more sustainable environmental practices than the current norm, while not requiring the full commitment to organic production. Such a standard would comprise agreed practices. That means that would make people agree for different kinds of farming, covering agrochemical use, soil health, land management, water and energy use, food safety, and animal health. It could go a long way, he says, to shifting consumers as well as farmers towards a more sustainable system of agriculture. Shifting consumers as well as farmers. This would help to change the attitudes. Shifting consumers as well as farmers, so it will shifting consumers as well as farmers towards a more sustainable system of agriculture. So they're just pretty much changing their opinions. So they meaning changing their attitudes. So both. So the answer is going to be both consumers and farmers. So I guess it's consumers as well as farmers. Yeah, either way, the order doesn't really matter. You can just say consumers and farmers, or you can say farmers and consumers. It doesn't really matter. So there you go, guys. We finished. We concluded reading passage 3 here, and the walkthrough series ends here. So once again, in the future, I'm going to be creating a special platform where the vocabularies are going to be collected from each series that we cover in the video, and also give you ways how to read, how to make inferences, and a really helpful academic way of making not really inferences, but academic way of reading skills that could not literally help you through IELTS, but maybe help you in different kinds of states. It could be not really English learning, but it could be also taken to maybe sitting the exams, maybe conducting an SAT. So thank you very much, everyone, for watching. If you liked it, please smash that like button and subscribe by hitting the bell button as well, as I publish video every day. Thank you very much, and have a great time.